On with us right now, we have Minot Daily News reporter Kim Fundingsland to give us the latest from what they're reporting on. Kim, first of all, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Well, thank you much, Rob. Wish it was in better circumstances, obviously, but thank you.
I certainly appreciate that. First of all, give us the latest. What's the latest breaking news, I guess, out of the flood zone?
Well, there's a press conference coming up at 4 where some of this information will be verified. But what we do know is that the releases from Canada were increased again today. We do know that Lake Darling will still be filling in 3 or 4 days' time. I'm guessing a little bit on that, and that once Lake Darling is full, from all appearances, it looks like we'll still have flows of 20 to 25, 26,000 coming down the Souris. So the officials have to really be working to crunch some numbers and come up with some game plans on this one. Hopefully they'll have something in order by 4 o'clock, but it's pretty desperate times, Rob.
Obviously, there is some question about why this seemed to sort of come on us again. I think a lot of it is focused on water being released from Canada. Do we know why these releases started ramping up the way they did?
Well, the reservoirs were full. That was the gist of the problem, and the Canadians did a great job of evacuating their reservoirs during the winter months. There are some international agreements there that limit them to how much they can release at one time. They did get down to the level that was recommended by the State Water Commission, International Souris River Board, and the Canadian authorities. So they did a good job. Memory serves me right. They dropped Alameda about 22 feet and Rafferty about 19 feet, but they knew they were going to have problems. They went into last fall with 200% soil moisture. About 60% of the southern part of the province was not planted due to just too wet conditions. And then the snowpack this winter was just extremely excessive and very wet. So the problems were apparent. They did what they could. In hindsight, maybe something else could have been done, but this amount of water is going to catch up with you no matter what.
I'm just seeing some breaking news on Twitter here. According to NBC News, Mayor Kurt Zimmelman saying that mandatory evacuations ordered for over 12,000 Minot citizens, approximately 4,000 to 5,000 homes at risk. I know there's some problems with keeping some of the bridges open across the river in Minot. Do we know, any idea of how many people have been able to evacuate or how far along those are?
Great question, and the answer probably won't be quite so great, but people have been moving out virtually all night. Streets in town, the residential areas are just jammed with stock trailers, pull-type trailers, fifth-wheelers, you name it. They're using everything they can to get belongings out of their homes. Every bridge in the city will be closed, with the exception of the Broadway Bridge, which is a very high bridge over the Souris, and then the 3rd Street Viaduct. They hope to have time to dike to be able to keep that open. That's the last I heard. And again, we may have an update on that at 4 o'clock, but those will be the only 2 ways that I know of right now to get from one side of the city to the other.
So they're also expecting the Highway 83 bypass to the west of the city to close as well?
To the west of the city, I was told that yesterday afternoon late that they would keep that one open. And I think that's a possibility. I'm not sure they have to do a lot of work to keep that west bypass open, but the way this water's coming, things can change. And no one knows for sure how at this level because it's never happened before. And one other thing, Rob, that's really a concern is the water's coming much faster than was originally thought. So crests, I don't want to use the word crest because there's always a new one the next day, but the water's going to be here very fast. We'll reach the 1969 flood levels tomorrow. And, of course, 1969 is the great catastrophic 40 days and 40 nights that all old-time miners remember. So we'll reach that level tomorrow, and by about a day after that, we're going to top the existing dikes we have. And, of course, they're working on some secondary diking systems now to try and build those up to save what they can.
now when we talk about this, obviously we're talking about inside of Minot. I think that we're helped a little bit, and I guess I almost hesitate to use that word, but we are helped a little bit by the fact that Minot's got a pretty extreme valley to it. We've got a lot of elevation change within the city that helps contain a lot of that water. But once it gets out of that valley, obviously to the west of Minot and to the east of Minot, it spreads out quite a bit. What sort of reports are we hearing, like say from the Burlington area, Velva area, Logan area, places like that?
Well, Burlington, the river skirts the edge of Burlington. They can still get flooded from it, but they almost have to defend against only one bank, unlike Minot, where both banks curve off to the city. So Burlington's going to have a tough go. They're on the front line. We'll know how they fare here in a day or two. Downstream from Minot, I can't give you that answer exactly. I know that Velva has very substantial diking, and thus far they're feeling reasonably safe as you can. But again, these numbers keep going up all the time. And then after that, the water is going to spread out immensely, and I don't think anyone can really tell you where and what the effect will be, except there's going to be more land inundated than we've ever seen in the history of the state.
I know one of the things you said is you hate to use the word crest because it seems like there's a new one every day. I mean, that's certainly we're in unprecedented territory here when we're going to be breaking the 1969 record and going far beyond that. Do we know? Obviously, the 1969 record, because of flood control measures that have put in place, if that's where we stopped, it obviously wouldn't be nearly as bad as it was in 1969 because we're going to be exceeding that. It's obviously we don't really. I don't even hesitate to make, guesses. But, at what point our forecasts, should people... How much faith can we have in our forecast at this point, knowing that we're on unprecedented territory?
Well, you're in great shape today with these questions. You're right. The forecasts have never been done at this level before, so the degree of accuracy is somewhat questionable. What we do know that the volume of water is unprecedented, and in fact, it's going to be about 3 times the volume of water that's ever flown through the city.
Well, that was one thing during the last evacuation. We saw, we were projecting a much higher crest. People evacuated, and then it turned out, well, it had crested already. And then even as it went down, actual river levels were coming in far underneath projections. Have they changed their methodology since then to maybe take into account some of these other factors that they hadn't previously projected for?
In short, the answer would be yes, because the previous water levels, they were able to put that information into a computer system that would compute a possible crest and would also take into account weather, such as rain events, in a 24-hour to 48-hour period. So the forecast would be based on, say, 1.5 inches of rain coming in the next 24, 36 hours. And maybe the rainfall would be 0.5 inch, or the storm would move 40, 50 miles and maybe no rain. So the forecast would come back down. In this case, the water is in the river channel. There's no secret. There's no cloud burst that we're waiting for to add to the crest. It could, of course, but that's not. The point is the water is in the valley, and it's on its way. Can't change it.
I saw a report in the Minot Daily News around the end of May saying that Minot Mayor Kurt Zimmerman had said that he felt we were prepared for this. Although obviously I think circumstances were they prepared for this? And I'm not meaning this in as in pointing fingers, but is this a situation where it has just maybe overtaken them in terms of not being able to predict what has happened?
Yes, I would say so. It has overtaken them. I think they were prepared for the earlier crest. Once the Corps of Engineers came in and built those excellent secondary dikes that we had a few weeks ago, it was a wonderful sight. Some great relief for people. And now those dikes are, at these levels, will be several feet underwater. So it's probably prepared earlier, but I don't think preparation for this level could be done.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Minot Daily News reporter Kim Fundingsland, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks, Rob.
More to come straight ahead. Major General David Spritzanatic, North Dakota National Guard, going to be giving us some more flood updates coming up next. Stay tuned. I'm Rob Port, sitting in for Scott Hennon on The Scott Hennon Show.